So again, like there's a difference between what I call solid side control, where I'm in a position, not only do I have him in side control, but I'm in a position to take advantage of advancing my position. That's where I always want to be, and that's where I want you guys to be. You could also be splayed out in what they call 100-kilo side control, where I'm sprawled out and really killing my weight to the mat. I'm not a biggest fan of this. You're heavy, you're heavier, but I feel like the trade-off is too much. I can be incredibly heavy, but I'm not in a position to take advantage of any mistakes this guy makes. Where I can be slightly less heavy, but I'm in a much better position to advance my position here. So I like to be here, guys. And what that means is I always want a knee on his hip, or as close to his hip as I can get. I need to control his hip, especially in jiu-jitsu. When we're doing the hipping out and shrimping, if he starts escaping his hips and turning into me, he's going to start looking to replace. So I need to have my knee on his hip so I can follow that. At the same time, if I'm in the proper position, my arms under his head, palm down, look, and I'm applying shoulder pressure here. When I make him look away, if I make him look away, it's much harder for him to turn his hips in and face me to replace. So I'm always cross-facing with my shoulder. I'm not over-committing the cross-face where I'm in a bad spot, just enough. Now this hand is going to get the pummel here, and I have my gable grip. And when I'm here, I'm going to pull him in just slightly. And the reason why I pull him in slightly there is that this arm that's trapped on my thigh right here, I want to make sure it stays trapped on my thigh. So now if you notice, my left knee here is on the outside of my left elbow. And I've got his arm trapped up on my thigh. So 3 things are working for me right here. I mean 4, my weight of course, but my knee on his hip keeps him from turning in and replacing me. My shoulder here keeps his head looking away to make sure it's also harder for him to turn in and replace. And the last thing is, if he doesn't have this elbow fixed to his side, it's almost impossible for him to get on his side and replace. So I've got kind of 3 things, and my weight is the 4th, keeping him from working towards replacing. So this arm is important right here. We're going to work on this a little bit. I didn't work on this as much on Wednesday. So these guys are going to keep their elbows in, the bottom person, which is normal. They're going to keep their frames tight, just like this, okay? So we're going to go under the head, pummel, get our hands here. So I still need to get this arm here that he's got tucked near me. I need to get that out to really solidify position. I can go from here, but for you guys, or for some of you, when we're really looking at fundamental side control, I'd rather have this arm up on my thigh. So to do that, what I do is I secure side control here. My knees are where they need to be, under the head with my arm, under the pummel on this arm with my gable grip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cup the arm that has the pummel, I'm going to cup his shoulder to control him, pull him into me. This hand here is going to cup under his tricep. I'm going to reach back, cup under his tricep. And as I lift his arm, I'm going to kick through like I'm sliding into home base. Boom, right here. My leg is under his shoulders. If you notice, I'm controlling both shoulders. He can't turn into me, and he can't turn away from me. Okay? And I'm going to lift, and now I'm going to do is switch my base back, and this knee is going to replace right here. Boom, boom. And now when I get my hand under his head, his arm is trapped where I need it to be trapped. Okay? So he has his elbow in again. Here, I'm everywhere I need to be except for this inside elbow of his is kind of allow him to get on his side if he can. So I'm going to take that away. I'm going to cup underneath his arm, switch my base, slide in the home plate, and immediately come back with my arm under his head. You notice now I've got his arm where I need it to be, and now I'm controlling. So let's work on that movement for about 5 minutes. It's really easy. So we end up here, right? We end up with his arm trapped on our thigh in solid side control. And now it's easy. And what I've done is when I switch my base and switch back, I've moved myself up towards his head more. And I've created more space here for me to work to get to mount. Okay? So I'm in a solid position of control. My left hand is going to just cup his armpit, the back of his shoulder right here. And my right arm is just going to crawl. Look, when I lean forward, I'm leaning forward and I'm applying shoulder pressure, but I'm still keeping everything in here tight so he can't get that elbow out. So I'm leaning forward and crawling his arm out of the way. And now it's knee on belly, but it's knee on belly here where my foot traps the outside of his hips. He's still going to try to turn his hips into me, especially if my foot's just hanging out in no man's land. He's going to catch it. Okay, so put it against his thigh and control him. He tries to turn in, I'm controlling him. When I'm ready to go to mount, look, if I crawl this arm out of the way enough, I can trap it with my head and free this hand to help navigate this whole thing. So I can do that. And now when I'm ready to go to mount, my knee can't hang out here because when I try to swing over, he's going to catch me, okay? And you know, you've worked this hard to get in such a dominant position. You don't want to lose it by being greedy with a bad move, and that's a poor move, right? So instead, I'm going to bring my knee cap here. And now when I swing, boom, you can't get it, and I'm right back down to mount. Make sure my heels dig in back here. My knees are wide, my hips are low, and my hands are here secondary. My main means of balance is my knees and maintaining. So he's gonna move and I use my knees. My hands come in second, okay? And that we'll do that more in like a month when we get through this whole, not even a month, 2 more weeks or so when we get into mount. But for now, it's side control. So again, guys, I make that move to trap the arm here. I cup, I walk it out of the way. Knee on belly with my foot on his hip, control. When I feel I'm ready, knee to the armpit, swing the mount, and then readjust. Boom. Okay? So let's work on that. Don't worry about it. Look, continue to try to slap my foot out. Get his knees pointed that direction. Bring the other foot on top and work it free in here. Don't abandon. You don't want it to get caught, but if it does, doesn't matter. He's still in a very bad spot. Take your time. Use your other foot to free it. There's no hurry. That guy's still trapped underneath you. And for whatever reason, I can't get his arm out of the way. So if I can't get his arm out of the way, the reason why I don't just go to mount is the minute I go knee on belly, his hand's going to come out and block my knee and push me in a half guard. So I can't, again, I don't want to give up a really dominant side control to end up in a half-ass shitty half guard because I was trying to take mount when I shouldn't have, right? So I'm trying to crawl his arm out of the way. I can't. So I'm going to go to option 2 then. I'm going to back to my gable grip, circle my elbow around his head, pin it between my knee and my elbow. And what I'm trying to do is kind of lock this position down because I'm going to weave my hand underneath his forearm and into his armpit here. Once I get it in, look, I'm pulling it back as much as I can and grabbing his belt. I really want to trap that arm. I could stay here, but it's not as effective. What's up, Travis? It's not as effective as trying to get this up here. And you'll see why. Now that I'm here and I've got blocking his hip on this side, this hand is going to come to the mat. Just put it there. He tries to turn his hips into me. I'm blocking his ability to turn his hips into me with my forearm, okay? Now that I'm here, I'm blocking both sides. I'm going to switch my base towards his hips. And when I do that, he might even have this elbow in. I need to get my butt under this elbow. So I'm here, boom, I need to dig under it. My back knee is pointed up in case he bridges into me. I can push him back down, boom, okay? And now what I'm doing is inching back. That's why if you get this elbow back and this arm trapped, all he sees is your back and his hands are trapped, both arms are trapped above his head. I've got all this room to work. So now that I'm here, I'm grabbing my foot from the inside, not from the outside, from the inside and over the top. And I'm just guiding it through. Once it's there, grab his pant leg, pull yourself up. And if you can keep this arm trapped, do, because this is a much more dominant position. I can begin to attack arm bars and everything else. If not, doesn't matter, right to mount. Okay, so again, I'm here. I try to crawl, it's not working. So I'm back to my gable grip, circle, and pin his head. Shoot my left arm through, get your elbow in the armpit, and try to create a little space and control the belt. Block the hip. Block the hip on this side, switch my base with my butt under his elbow, and then begin to hip out backwards, my back knee up. Create enough space for you to navigate, grab your foot, pull yourself through, grind your way to mount, and maintain. All right, let's give that a shot.